All right, hello, welcome everyone. Give everyone a minute to trickle in here. All right, and we'll get started in just a minute. Everyone should be able to use the chat, so definitely please chime in on the chat if you're having any issues hearing or seeing anything. All right, well, I am going to go ahead and get us started. Like I said, the chat is open. We'll have a extensive Q&A section at the end. So we're going to hold questions for the end. But please do speak up in the chat here if, again, you can't see me or anything, any technical questions there, certainly please let me know. And I do always like to tell people this is being recorded. So if you need to step out early or, you missed a section, you wanted to listen to it again, don't worry, this is being recorded right now. And I will get it uploaded onto our department website probably within the week, and I'll be able to provide the recording if upon request as well. So don't worry too much if you miss part of it or you want to hear it in a little more detail. You will have access to that. So with that disclaimer, I'm going to get us started. Welcome to the 2025 Molecular Pharmaceutics Admissions Webinar at the University of Utah. I'm very happy to have those of you here who are listening in. And if you're watching this recording at a later time, thank you as well. You can always reach out via email later with questions. So we are going to kick it off. And I will let you know kind of what this webinar is going to look like. So we will go through an overview of our department. What is pharmaceutics? Who are we? We're going to hear from some of our amazing current graduate students, talking about student life, the student experience here. I will share a little more details about our department, our current student body, and then how to apply, which is often, where we run into a lot of questions. And then we will also dive into admissions criteria, curriculum, some of those more, details people tend to want to know about how to actually apply. And then, like I said, please, questions at the end. We were going to keep this at an hour, but there should be plenty of time to answer your questions as we go through this. So with that, I'm going to ask my presenters to introduce themselves with the quick caveat that Dr. Sean Owen he had a conflict, so he might either be hopping on a little bit late or he might not be able to join us, but we will still cover all of his information for you. So I would like to hand off to our chair to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Hamid Gandhari. I'm chair of Molecular Pharmaceutics Department. Thanks for joining us.
And then our students.
Hi, I'm Tara Budzinski. I'm entering my third year in molecular pharmaceutics, and I'm our student advisory committee chair.
I'm Oliver, second year, PhD student here, also part of the student advisory committee. Significantly less hair than pictured in this slide nowadays.
And I'm Lauren. I am also a third year student in molecular pharmaceutics and also on the student advisory committee.
Thank you. So I'm going to start off with Dr. Gandhari, who's going to share a little bit about our department, and just let me know when to go to the next slide.
Sounds great. Next slide, please. Okay, great. So I'm gonna give you an overview of our department. As you can see also, by the way, in the top of this slide, there's a lot of beautiful places around Utah, and the bottom pictures show some of our campus. But to the right-hand side, to the lower right-hand side, you actually see our Skaggs Research Institute, where most of our students and lab members are present. Next slide, please. All right, so Hallie, these are a few bullet points. So you might wonder, what is the focus of our department in terms of research? Because molecular pharmaceutics name could be a bit nebulous, but primarily we deal with drug delivery systems. The idea would be how to target drugs to specific sites in the body. These could be gene therapies, they could be cell-based delivery systems, immunotherapeutics, vaccines, and theranostics. One of our faculty also does a lot of tissue profiling. I'm sure you've heard about personalized medicine, and I think it would be important to be able to distinguish the features of each patient so that we can treat them appropriately. So that's kind of the focus of our group. If I could go to the next bullet point, Hallie, please. So we are a relatively small department. Many departments in the colleges of pharmacy in the U.S. are combined pharmaceutical sciences. In our case, we have 4 departments within the College of Pharmacy. We specifically focus on delivery applications. We have 12 tenured track faculty. This is one of the largest in the country, actually, group of pharmaceutics faculty, all gathered in one place. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the largest group of pharmaceutics faculty in the country, in the US. We also have 4 research track faculty members. These faculty members are senior researchers that help the students do the day-to-day mentoring, work with the tenured faculty. So from that perspective, it's a rich environment where you not only have the tenure line faculty, but also have the tenured faculty. We also have 2 positions open right now, so the department is growing. We have a lot of adjunct faculty in different departments. For example, in biomedical engineering, we're interested to take our students. In fact, both Lauren and Tara are in a biomedical engineering lab. They're molecular pharmaceutics, because there's a lot of cross-pollination and cross-collaboration between us and different departments. We have some of the world's readers in our department, editors of various journals such as Biomaterials. I myself was editor-in-chief of Advanced Drug Delivery Reviews for years. We have Professor Kopacek, another distinguished professor who is one of the pioneers in polymer therapeutics, and others. So it's a well-regarded department. As I mentioned, we are interdisciplinary, and we have a lot of distinguished both educators and leaders in the community, some having been presidents of major international societies in the past. Next, please, Ali. So the department houses 3 centers. One is Center for Controlled Chemical Delivery, primarily deals with polymeric drug delivery systems. We have Cell Sheet Tissue Engineering Center. Dr. Granger, David Granger, co-directs that along with Dr. Okano. And we have Utah Center for Nanomedicine. We work a lot on nanoparticles for drug delivery applications that I lead in the department. These are major centers in the department, but there are many faculty that are not necessarily directly part of these centers. Next, please. So it's a very research-intensive graduate program. If you're looking for a graduate program that you learn a lot of new and innovative things, I think this is the right place for you. Next. As I mentioned, we have a diverse group of students and very collaborative students. One of the things that really stands out in our department is really collegiality, very friendly environment. And as I will mention later, we have over about 37 molecular pharmaceutics grad students. And if you add the biomedical engineering students that are being trained by our faculty in molecular pharmaceutics, the number, I think, Hallie, reaches up to 48, if I remember the latest statistics correctly. And just in the past 5 years, we have tripled the number of our grad students in the department. So we're a growing department. Next, please. We have a very active student advisory committee, as you will see from Lauren Oliver and Tara. They will discuss what SAC does in our department. In fact, we are one of the few departments on campus that SAC directly always participates in our faculty meetings and gives a lot of useful feedback to faculty. A lot of our alumni are either in pharmaceutical industry or they're leaders in academia, and as well as FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Next, please. And as I mentioned, the department is very collegial. And the last bullet point, I think there's one more. And here's the website. Next slide, please. So this is our faculty. I would not obviously have time in this webinar to go over each and every single faculty member's a research program. But as you can see, we have about 16 faculty members in the department that are able to take students and mentor them, and with the breadth of different types of research that we just discussed. And we're adding 2 more faculty members, hopefully in the next coming year. Next, please. So this is pretty much the community. I think we have the latest updates on this, Hallie, if I'm not mistaken.
It should be pretty current, yep.
Yeah, a community of over 100 colleagues, the students, faculty, postdocs, researchers that all we help each other. Faculty are on multiple committees. So once you join, you will not be alone. You have a really good community to connect with. Next, please. And as I mentioned, our facilities, I'm personally really proud of our facilities. The top left-hand side is the Skaggs Research Institute. Most of our faculty are on the 2nd floor of that building. The top right-hand side is the Sorensen Molecular Biotechnology building, which is about a 10-minute walk from the College of Pharmacy. Actually, all of our SAC members present today are in that building, including myself. It's a state-of-the-art. The campus has a lot of core facilities for gene arrays and nanofabrication, you name it. Really, the facilities are outstanding. Lower left is Biopolymers Research Building. Professor Kopacek, Dr. Yang, and their groups are in that building. And lower right-hand side, sorry, I meant lower left-hand side, is VPRB. Lower right-hand side is Park Building. University of Utah was established in 1850, and this year is celebrating its 175th anniversary. The entire university has about $750 million in research funding, over 750. The reason why I bring this up is that research takes place not only in our laboratories, but really in close interaction. For example, Oliver's project really is a project that we work at the interface between us and pediatric pharmacology with physician scientists. And this is not an exception. There are many of our students that really benefit from this excellent ecosystem on campus. Both the health sciences as well as engineering are on one campus, as well as chemistry and other departments. So there's this cross interaction between the departments. Next, please. As I mentioned, life is not all about studying. We do a lot of the studying, but also we like outdoors. Skiing is only about 30 minutes from our campus, maybe 25 minutes, depending on how fast you drive. On the way back, there's a huge traffic though. And some of the national parks are within, depends on which one, but within 3 to 4 hours. So there's a lot of things to do in Utah, especially if you're an outdoor enthusiast. But Salt Lake City by itself is a medium-sized city that has a lot of different types of venues that you can benefit from by being here. Next, please.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that overview. And we'll be hearing more from you in a bit here. But for now, I'm going to hand off to our students to talk about student life, student experience, hear a little bit about their research.
Yeah, thanks, Hallie. So we just wanted to share a little bit about ourselves, both personally and then a little bit about our research experiences so you can kind of get an idea of what it's like to be a graduate student in molecular pharmaceutics and at the University of Utah. So just to jump right in and give a quick overview, I'm starting my 3rd year in graduate school. I first got my undergraduate degree in chemical engineering from the Colorado School of Mines. And then I entered the U through the biosciences program. So I did my first year in a kind of different umbrella program, and then decided to join molecular pharmaceutics out of all of the 11 departments that I could have chosen from. And I think I made a great choice. What I really enjoy about the U and University of Utah specifically is just how amazing the outdoor access is here. So I did my undergrad in outside of Denver, and you think of Colorado as having all of these amazing outdoor experiences, and I'd say Utah definitely gives it a run for its money. At the University of Utah, I really enjoy, like Dr. Gandahari mentioned, the amazing resources that we have here. So we have a lot of core facilities that can help you out with anything from NMR to animal work to all sorts of things. And they're built right into the core of the university, the core facilities. And then besides the science, I feel like I've just made a great community here at the U in molecular pharmaceutics. There are, over 30 students here, and I say I get along with every single one of them, and it's really been a great journey and experience being a part of this department. I have pictured just a few of the things I enjoy in Utah. I've got cats since I joined graduate school, and then of course skiing and backpacking as a little snippet of the outdoor activities you might have to look forward to here. And then this on the right is a little bit about the lab that I'm in and the research that I do. So I'm in Jessica Kramer's lab. Like Dr. Ganahari mentioned, her main appointment is in biomedical engineering. So she's technically adjunct in molecular pharmaceutics, but I really like that I still have some connection to my, engineering roots that I got my degree in. And then just kind of having half of the lab be BME students and half be molecular pharmaceutics. It's a really good juncture of science and engineering. So we like to say in the Kramer Lab that our research is at the interface of chemistry, biology, and materials science. And my project definitely reflects that in that I'm working on synthesizing antifreeze polypeptides or polymers, hopefully with the end goal of aiding cryopreservation of cells, tissues, et cetera, potential abiotic applications. But yeah, really, really enjoy my time here so far, and I'll hand it off to our next SAC member. If you could go to the next slide, please.
Okay, I'm Oliver. I am a second year student working on my PhD here in the molecular pharmaceutics program. I am a member of the Gandahari Lab under Dr. Gandahari, who we heard speak earlier, all part of that Utah Center for Nanomedicine kind of bubble there. And really, growing up, I went all over the place and then eventually landed around when I did my high school here in Utah. Just moved here with my family, and I absolutely fell in love with the just the great outdoors aspect. Basically parroting what Tara just said. I mean, the access, like just right out of your door, whether you're on campus or anywhere in the valley, is to stuff, whether it be in you know, the winter with skiing and snowshoeing and stuff like that, or the summer. There's really stuff to do all year round, and it's just so accessible. It's amazing. You can see like in the bottom right there, we have excellent wildlife here too. I'm pointing at a marmot on that trail that is invisible, so that's why I circled it. But that's, just a taste of what you could see on the epic trails here in Utah. But I mean, other than that, spending time in the mountains, I like to play music on the drums and play video games and read comics and hang out. But and my next slide will have a little bit more on that. But I originally was a undergrad here in biomedical engineering here at the U. And as part of sort of the senior capstone project there, you're supposed to find research labs and find points of research on the campus or outside campus that interest you. And I got into contact with Dr. Gandahari and found the drug delivery work that was happening there to be very interesting. And I got to work on a specific project, which I have the next slide on, if we could go to that, just because I think the pictures make things a lot clearer than going through a ton of text. But really, the project focuses on how drugs are affected when they're administered to these patients with this undergoing this artificial extracorporeal oxygenation, just this very critical life support system. And it can really heavily alter how the drugs are administered for these patients. Just the drug pharmacokinetics are heavily altered, and there's all kinds of complications that can arise out of this treatment for dosing drugs for patients. And basically, my project is really kind of coupling in that biomedical engineering background that I got in my undergrad, because it's really focusing on building like a novel medical device to lower costs for these kind of experiments that are crucial for like drug delivery in these systems. And it's really basically what Dr. Gandahari was saying is really the extent of collaboration. Like on my project, there's medical device experts and drug modeling experts and experts that were actually dealing with, you know, patients in the ICU and stuff like that. And that's just something that I find was really encouraged by the department and just very accessible. We have all kinds of excellent resources here within our department and for collaboration outside of the department. So that's yeah, that's just something I've really loved in my time working here. And I think we can go to our final member of the SAC.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I would definitely echo everything that Tara and Oliver have said so far. Utah is truly a fantastic place, and the molecular pharmaceutics department is also a fantastic department where I feel like I've had so many excellent opportunities to get involved in incredible research and meet great people. Like I said before, I'm a third year PhD student. I also came in through the biosciences program that Tara talked about, mostly because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to research in grad school. And kind of like Tara, I did some rotations and found my way here, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I also came from the Colorado School of Mines. I got my bachelor's in quantitative biosciences and engineering. Um, a little out of order, but I'm also now a member of the Kramer Lab, where my project is working on improving synthetic mucus models to better understand drug delivery to mucosal surfaces, which is such a unique project that I absolutely love. And besides that, I absolutely love everything about Utah. I find it very similar to Colorado, where you can have a pretty vibrant work-life balance. I really love to hike with my dog Scooby, who's pictured in the bottom left, ski, climb, bike, do all of the things. And they're such great outlets from the ups and downs of grad school and just a great way to live. This place has really provided me with truly great friends and very wicked smart, inspiring colleagues. Next slide. I think that's still me. Yeah, as I said, I really think molecular pharmaceutics has a unique community. The department has a variety of sanctioned events, like in the top left, you can see our annual barbecue, where for the first time in many years, the faculty pulled an amazing feat of beating the students in a tug of war. But that's just a great way to kick off the school year and reconnect with people. And we also have a Christmas party. And beyond that, all of the labs I find do tons of fun things together to build positive community. And then even across the department, we see each other in buildings, on campus, at seminars, and that enables the formation of great friendships and a lot of outside of school events that really make grad school a fun place to be.
And I have to say, faculty had a lot of help. Otherwise, we wouldn't have won.
Don't sell yourself short.
Right.
Right. Well, thank you so much to our student presenters, and they will be sticking around for the Q&A. So if you have questions about student life or, you know, something more from the student perspective, they will be here to answer your questions. I am just going to touch on a little bit more information about our department and then how to apply before we dive into some of the details about what we're looking for. So we've already looked at a lot of great pictures. Here's even more. I do think our students and our faculty and postdocs, they work very, 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 very hard. But we do have a lot of fun too, I think. You know, the top photo there, we have a holiday party, and that lab did, you know, a bunch of sweaters, and everyone always has these beautiful photos of the, you know, the landscape. And I think everyone's pretty good about really getting outdoors and, you know, getting some fresh air. So we are a dynamic group of people, not just students, but people from all over the world and all over the country. We have some standing events, well, the back picnic, holiday party, you know, potlucks. I have a monthly student get together, like a coffee hour. That's just staff and students, no faculty allowed, you know, so we can kind of get together and talk. But, and then within the labs, you know, lots of different events and stuff as well, just for that way to kind of get your head out of your book or get out of the lab, get some fresh air. And I think there's a lot of community within our department and within the university and the college as well. You know, we have events with the other departments within our college and kind of ways to kick off collaboration there as well. So our current student population is 37 or 38. No, I might have counted this. We have a couple students who defended and are like currently in the process of graduating and finishing up. So it's right around 38 right now. And just over half are international students. That fluctuates a little bit, but that's pretty typical for us to be just over halfway international students. Some of these international students got an undergraduate or a master's degree here in the States and were already here. Quite a few of them, you know, got those degrees in their home country or in another country and moved here to Utah specifically for our program. So we see a little bit of everything. You know, I think I've seen just about every combination of that. I think our student body's got 8 to 9 different countries right now. I did a quick count this morning. And then, you know, the domestic students are from all over the country as well. So I think, you know, everyone has a lot in common in terms of what they're passionate about their research. But everyone brings a little bit from home and from their different experiences with their undergraduate and some of them have master's degrees. So it's great to get all those different perspectives because everyone has their own, you know, their own story, right? All right, here's the big question. How do I apply for molecular pharmaceutics PhD program? So I imagine if you have found yourself here in this webinar, you've probably already checked out our website. You may have already emailed with me. You probably played around, clicked around a little bit, I would imagine. You know, if you haven't, that's fine. We're going to walk through it. But this should look familiar to you. This is kind of our landing page, our department homepage. And I would definitely encourage you to take the time to read through. We have all sorts of great stuff on here, past newsletters. Until I upload this, we have the recording of last year's webinar, all sorts of information about our different facilities and great, interesting narrative about our department history. It's pretty, you know, our department has quite a history and quite a legacy. I would definitely encourage you to take the time to kind of explore. But if you were deciding, okay, today is the day I'm starting my application, you're going to start here. I'm going to click prospective students. It's going to open up these options for you. If you have not already, highly recommend reading through each of these program overview, especially the admissions procedures, definitely the frequently asked questions. But to actually start your application, click right there, and that's going to take you into the University of Utah Graduate School application portal. So when you're applying for our program, your application is filtered through many levels, starting with the Office of Admissions at the university level. So, you know, while the department can eventually review all the applications we get and kind of make our decisions based on that, we do not get access to really view these final applications until, you know, we can watch them kind of filter through, but they're not ours until they have passed all the standards of the university. So things like English proficiency requirements for international students. There's a couple different things international students have to look for, GPA requirements and things like that. So it is all very carefully vetted by the university before applications kind of land on our desk. So it's going to be an application like this, very straightforward. You pick our program from the little drop down and you start filling it in, right? So things like your name, your address, anything you can imagine. In more of that demographic questions, and then you'll have your spots to upload the different required materials. And then you can start this and let it sit and submit it. You know, applications are due December 1st, so submit it at the very last minute. You can go ahead and start it, and you think it looks great, go ahead and submit it today. You know, it really doesn't matter because we don't start reviewing applications until after that December 1st deadline. So there's no advantage to applying sooner rather than later. Unless you were worried about, you know, running into an issue. It could always, you know, we could come back with questions sooner, but really we wait until we have all those applications in front of us to start reviewing them. So uploading materials. couple different things. You will need, this is a very, very frequently asked question on the transcripts. You will need transcripts from anything, if you just have an undergraduate degree, you will need that. If you had a master's degree, if you went to multiple institutions, you will need to gather all those transcripts. The big question, unofficial transcripts are fine for your application. You can use your unofficial transcript if we are moving you on to the next step, where we do want to admit you, at a certain point before your actual start date. You will need to provide official transcripts. But do not worry about that for now. As you are applying, unofficial transcripts are fine. We just need to see, your different classes, your grades, all that. Letters of reference, our department asks for 3 letters of reference. So, we're looking for someone who has that experience with you. It could be a professor, maybe if you had the chance to work in a lab, maybe you volunteered as an undergrad or something, someone you worked under. But these letters of reference are very important because that's the way we kind of get a picture of you from someone else's perspective. And then we will need a personal statement. So our guideline is approximately 500 words. That's usually about 2 pages. That's what we're looking for. And that's kind of your chance to tell us your story, what you're excited about, share about your background. And then we do not require a GRE score. And the final step, the December 1st deadline, you do want to get it in, and there is an application fee. We do offer an application to have your fee waived. We are given kind of a certain number of fee waivers we're allowed to use. This application is pretty easy to find on our website. I'm happy to share it, if you email me or ask me in the chat later. You're basically going to be uploading all the same information you would for the application. And this will be reviewed by our admissions committee, and they use a rubric to hand out these fee waivers. But this is a different, this is kind of our own application. So applying for a fee waiver is not the same thing as applying to our program. Please ask me any questions you have about that. That's kind of a little bit of a confusing one, it seems, for people. So I'm happy to answer your questions on that. And then frequently asked questions, December 1st. I think I've said that maybe 5 times now. Our department does just do fall starts. So we do not start students in the spring semester. So our next cohort will be fall of 2026. And then in terms of financial assistance and fellowships, things like that, we hire, unless you were to come, sometimes we have students start with their own fellowships that they found on their own. Or maybe a sponsorship from like a home country, occasionally we'll see that. But we do hire our students as research assistants, and you do have like a salary from the university, and the health insurance is included with that. And then we do have a tuition coverage program that our college participates in. So, it's very excited that we're able to offer that. You are considered an employee of the university if we're able to admit you to our program. And then the second part of the FAQ, this is the big one that comes up. You are, of course, always welcome to reach out to our faculty. Sometimes great conversations can be started that way, but it is absolutely not required. You do not need to be matched with a certain professor in order to be admitted to our program. We're very excited that we offer a rotation program for our first year students. So your first semester, you have the chance to work in 2 different labs. And that's a great way to kind of just have a more, bigger variety of experience, see what different people are doing. And then at the end of those rotations, you and the professor would kind of come to a mutual agreement for you to join their lab in January. So again, if you do want to reach out to someone because you're really excited about them, it's definitely worth a shot. Sometimes you can have these good conversations, but it is in no way a requirement to apply. And then English proficiency for international students comes up a lot. There is an entire webpage dedicated to this, and questions about that really should go directly to that team, the Office of Admissions. It's not something we really handle on a department level. And then same for I-20s, other international student questions. I'm always happy to facilitate, but I really do like to point international applicants to the International Admissions Department. Because they are the experts. So I can answer with my knowledge, but something like that, you definitely would want to reach out to that department, because this is one of the ways that applications are filtered through. So they don't really come to us unless you can fulfill this English proficiency requirement. So more on admissions, we were going to hear from one of our other panelists, but he did have a conflict come up. However, Dr. Gandhari and I are happy to talk about this. You know, you will still get all the same information. So I can kind of start with this section. This is more of what we're looking for. Dr. Gandhari, please chime in if I'm, missing something or if you wanna add on. But people ask a lot, what is it we're really looking for, right? So of course you're including your transcripts. We're looking at GPAs, grades, things like that. But it is more than just that. It's more than just those numbers. So we're looking for things. If you were able to be involved with any publications, if you have different presentations you've been able to do. It's not about quantity, but if there is something you were able to do, we definitely really want to hear about that, whether you were in a master's program or an undergrad program. Just records of research you've done, any activities maybe you've been involved in, maybe with like a student group or a certain class or working with a certain professor, or maybe even job experience, if you're coming from a career and now you're looking at grad school. Sometimes we have pharmacists apply or, people with that kind of a background. And then the recommendations are really something we do look at a lot, these letters of reference, because that is, you tell your own story in the personal statement, but the letters of reference do really give us a picture of who you are as a person, as a student, personality, teamwork qualities, and of course, just if the recommender feels like you are someone who would be a good fit for a PhD program. And then of course, we do have prerequisites, coursework. We're looking at all of that. This is quite an academically rigorous program. I would say students would know better than I did, but that is something we're looking at quite closely. And it's all, record of improvement. Like you don't have to have had straight A's for every single class you've ever taken. We can kind of look through and see places that you've grown, or like maybe there are certain strengths you have. And that is all what we're looking for. Dr. Gandhari, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, that's great. No, we will, but once we get to the curriculum, I'll go into a little bit.
Yes, yeah, this is really, it is holistic. Our admissions committee, they do have a standardized way that they are looking at these applications, but they are looking at the big picture, and it's not just, your transcripts, right?
One thing I might add, I think the admission committee places a lot of emphasis on your experience in research. I think that would be something that would be important. That's kind of one aspect that I want to
absolutely. Definitely. So the next step, so you've applied, you've submitted, okay, you're crossing your fingers. Our kind of next round is we do interviews. So there's, we'll do a certain number of interviews out of our applicants, and they're typically on Zoom or, a virtual interview, unless maybe you happen to be local. But we do, typically do these on Zoom, and you will meet with at least 3 members of our faculty, 3 to 4 for like a half-hour meeting. And these are one-on-one. And it really is, there's standard things they will ask you in these interviews. But what I like is that the interviewers, everyone does it a little bit of a different way. So some of them want to learn more about, your research experience, your background, what you're excited about. Some might have a list of questions they're going through. Some might want you to do all the talking. So we're going to get all these different perspectives instead of just one person, interviewing you. We do try to have a variety of our faculty interview. And it's kind of your chance to ask your questions as well. We also try to connect applicants with current students. That's this is one way, of course. But if you email me, I'm happy to connect you with Zach or with our other current students, and they can talk a little bit more about campus life, student life. You might have questions about, how do I move to Utah? And sometimes that's better answered by a student. And then, we do, it's not necessarily a criteria with the application, but, we do watch for things like your interactions with staff and with other administrators. It's completely objective. I have zero say in applications, but it is something we watch: professionalism, timeliness and responsiveness as well. All right, and now Dr. Kandahari is going to go over our curriculum a bit, and I will chime in if needed.
That sounds great. So that was the admission. Let's say once you get into the program, or before you get into the program, there are certain prerequisites for our program. You have to have at least 1 year of organic chemistry with laboratories, 1 semester of physical chemistry. Many students, particularly those from biomedical sciences, may not have that prerequisite already. So we do provide the opportunity for students to take this physical chemistry at the University of Utah during their first year, along with while they're taking some of the other courses. You have to have prerequisite of calculus for 1 year, biochemistry for 1 semester, and 1 semester of either anatomy, cell biology, developmental biology, classical genetics, or physiology. Just in case, as I mentioned, you do not meet the requirement, one of these prerequisites, there's always the opportunity for you to apply, but then you will take the prerequisite that you're missing while you're enrolling in our program. For example, Oliver, I remember last year you took the physical chemistry because you came from a biomedical engineering background. The reason why is that our field, molecular pharmaceutics, is very interdisciplinary. Students who graduate, some of them end up in pharmaceutical industry, and to this date, it's for formulation, physical chemistry is really an important background to have. Next slide, please. So our faculty, just over the past 2 years, we had a couple of retreats. We have revised our curriculum, and next year, actually, this is now up to the upper administration for approval, and next year we're going to implement. So students who apply, once you get in, next year, these are the types of courses that you will take, and I will just basically list the numbers, but in the next slide later, we'll go over the details. So there are 4 core, what we call really core courses of molecular pharmaceutics. You have to take case studies and research ethics. That's very important. We have journal club, 1 credit per semester, 4 semesters. So that's 2 years of journal club where you would present on specific topics, read a paper, present it. You and your fellow students and faculty will critique it. So that's the journal club. Our seminar series is every week for everyone is required to participate in the seminar series and engage with speakers. And students in their 2nd year are required to present a half-an-hour seminar, and your 4th year required to present a 1-hour seminar. We also have a number of electives that students need to take, at least 4 elective courses with a total of 8 credit hours. The next slide kind of provides a bit more detail about our curriculum. So you will take this class that's called Macromolecular Therapeutics and Drug Delivery, focuses on various types of drug and gene delivery systems, polymeric materials, liposomes, lipid nanoparticles. There's a class 7040, which is biotechnology, looking at the conformation of proteins, how do you assess those conformations and such. I mentioned about journal club and research ethics. In the spring, you will take pharmacokinetics, physical pharmacy and dosage forms. Again, these are 2 of the core courses, are very important. And of course, journal club again, and thesis research. I think in the next slide, we have probably our electives listed, I think. Sorry, no. Okay, department seminar I mentioned, it's a must attend, and in your 2nd year, 25 minutes for 5 minutes Q&A, 4th year, 50 minutes with 10 minutes Q&A. And the next slide. Elective courses, we have a number of elective courses, not only offered through the department, which is pharmaceutics, PHCEU, but also other departments. For example, we have a regulatory affairs course that is being taught by biomedical engineering. Nanomedicine is co-listed between pharmaceutics and bioengineering. That's something that I teach. And there are a number of other courses, but this is basically a list of it. But you can also, beyond this list, in consultation with your advisor and committee members, thesis advisory committee members, you can choose other courses on campus. Like sometimes our students are interested in cancer biology or immunology. So that's available as well. Next slide, please. So then you will have qualifying exam. You have a written comprehensive exam that covers all the core courses within 6 months of completing your classes. A new format next year is going to be integrated. So faculty will kind of provide a question that has a theme, and within that theme, you assess dosage form, you assess pharmacokinetics, you assess targeted delivery to specific sites in the body, sort of assessing your knowledge in integrating these different topics together. Then you have a proposal defense. This is the so-called F31 format. This is an NIH format, National Institutes of Health in the US, where students that write proposal, it's about 6-page long, and you will write your proposal. And then you will give a slide presentation to the entire department as well as to your committee to defend how, the key tenets of your proposal. And we have a very extensive handbook, which I think, Hallie, is on the website. Am I correct? So it's linked on the website. If you have a lot of time interested in reading a lot of pages of the handbook, you could do that. But we have outlined all of those in the student handbook. Next slide, please.
And with that, actually, we're going to start our Q&A. So there are 2 ways you can submit questions. There's the chat, and there is also like a Q&A that should appear in your little Zoom panel. I might be the only one who can see that. So we have a couple questions there. I'll go ahead and read off and kind of give everyone some time to digest and type out their questions that they may have. So the first question is a very straightforward one. What is the undergrad GPA requirement? So to apply to grad school at the University of Utah, it is 3.0 or whatever, if you're international, however that translates into a 3.0. Within our department, as we're looking at applications, we're probably looking for a higher, a higher one than that. But to actually submit your application, 3.0. And this question comes up a lot if you're international. If you submit if your GPA is done on a different scale, our university will, I don't know the right word. They'll still translate that to a 4.0
equivalent
scale on your behalf. You don't need to do that. You can just put in your GPA as you have it. And then we have a second question. It says, I have a bachelor's and a master's in biomedical science. My research interest shifted towards translational therapeutics and nanomedicine. How likely would I get enrolled in this program, given I have courses on nanomedicine and nanotechnology only, but no research?
Yeah, maybe I can comment on that. So you don't necessarily have, first of all, nanomedicine and nanotechnology is really a portion of the type of research that our faculty do. Our faculty do a lot of different types of research, including nanomedicine. Secondly, if you're interested to continue nanomedicine or other research labs, you don't necessarily have to have research experience in that area. Research experience, broadly speaking, in biomedical sciences is really helpful. The idea is for you to have those skill sets, those analytical thinking. That is not to say that if you don't have research experience, there's no chance for getting into the program, but research experience is certainly helpful. It does not need to be necessarily in nanomedicine, nanotechnology, or even molecular pharmaceutics. You could be doing some analytical chemistry. You could be doing some cell biology work. So it's absolutely perfectly okay. As you just heard, for example, our students come from chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, biology, chemistry. So I hope I have addressed your question.
Wonderful. Thank you. I have another question in the chat. How many labs can I rotate in before selecting a lab? That's a great question. That's about our department rotation program. So we do our rotation in your first semester. So it would be fall of 2026 for this next cohort. And we do 2 rotations. So the semesters, I should know this. I think it's 6 weeks each.
2.5 a semester.
Okay,
yes.
So you start off in one, midway through, you'll do a presentation to some of our faculty and to your host professor, and then you'll do your second one. And then we want that lab commitment in like mid-December so that we can then start you, January 1st, you're starting in your new lab. So I guess 2 is the short answer.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. Absolutely. There's 2 half-semester rotations. The second thing is that if you are highly interested in a specific faculty member and that faculty member is interested in your research and you don't want to do rotations, that option is also available. Still, you go through the admission committee process, but we call those direct admits. And every year, we have 1 or 2 students that come in that know exactly what they want to do. They have interviewed with the admission committee, a specific professor has accepted them. That option is available. We encourage students to do rotations so that you can basically, you have the choice. This is a very important commitment. Your advisor, not only the next 5 or 6 years, but also it's almost a lifetime relationship with your faculty mentor. So it's important for you to be able to choose which lab you want to go.
Mhm. Absolutely. I have another question that's more of a technical question. Our application fee waiver application, does that work for this bioscience program? So that is what Tara and Lauren mentioned, this kind of umbrella program they started in before selecting a lab within our department. So no, so the application for a fee waiver would just be specific to our department. Sometimes, I think other grad programs offer something similar. But if you apply for a fee waiver to apply to our program, that code will only work for our program. And
And
another
I'm
question.
sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry.
just to
No, go
chime
ahead.
in on that last point, 2 out of 3 of the student advisory committee members have joined from the biosciences, but I wouldn't say that that's typical.
Mhm.
Generally, we get a great pool of applicants for specifically molecular pharmaceutics. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there that me and Lauren are not necessarily an anomaly, but not necessarily common for our current cohort.
Absolutely. We have a mix of students from various feed programs. So,
Yeah, thank you, Tara. That's an excellent point. All right, someone says, do you have any advice for applicants who previously applied to this program but were not admitted? How are reapplications viewed? Are there particular areas applicants should focus on improving?
yeah, maybe I can address that, Hallie. Definitely. I mean, if a person has applied and didn't get in, but in the interim did some research, took additional courses, certainly. And sometimes the problem is that we have more qualified applicants that we can take. That doesn't mean that that applicant is out of picture. So we absolutely don't look at the fact that whether a person has applied in the past or not. And particularly if since the last time that you've applied, but you have additional research experience or other experiences, we will certainly look into that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it is a bad thing to be reapplying. And you said it exactly right. I think every year we have such great applicants, and I always say, can we just admit them all? But unfortunately, we can't. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself if you're reapplying. We would love to see kind of where you've grown since then.
Yep.
Next question is, I'm a pharmacy graduate exploring computational drug design and delivery systems. I'm interested in nanoparticle-based drug delivery systems, how computational approaches can support formula optimization and prediction. Is there any current project on that? Future projects? Who are the likely supervisors I would reach out to? That's a great question.
That's a really good question. That's a question that probably addressed to me more than some of the other faculty members. Do a lot of that. At the moment, to the best of our knowledge, neither our lab or other labs have a project at the interface of computation and nanoparticles. At the moment, we don't. In fact, in the past, we had a student who really worked with bioinformatics and our department. Having said that, these types of opportunities always come up, for one thing. So there is that opportunity for sure. And secondly, at least I can speak on my own behalf, is that a lot of times we try to see what students are interested. If a student with computational background comes in and says, Hamid or Dr. Gold, we want to work on this project X, but we also want to apply bioinformatics, AI to this project, we're certainly open to that, and we will kind of connect with some of our colleagues on campus, especially in biomedical informatics, that are specialized in that can help co-mentor the students.
Thank you. All right, and we have 5 more minutes, so plenty of time for a few more questions. This person says, I have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree. I'm currently studying a master's in biotechnology. How well would I fit into the molecular pharmaceutics
I think
program?
you're almost the perfect fit, because
I was going to say that too.
folks coming with a pharmacy background have this general knowledge about medicinal chemistry, pharmacology, and as well as pharmaceutics. So that's a plus. we have a good number of our grad students that come from pharmacy. That doesn't mean students coming from other programs. They bring other strength as well. And secondly, biotechnology. I mean, in this day and age, many people work on different aspects of biotechnology, like genetic engineering, protein structure, and that type. So I think the background fits very well with our program.
Yes, that's a great question. Next question is, can you please elaborate on how research assistantships and teaching assistantships differ in terms of responsibility, funding, structure? I can respond to that. So at the University of Utah, there are, grad programs, there are these different assistantships. You'll see these different terms as you're it looks like you've been doing your homework and reading around on the website. Our students, we hire them as research assistants. So there is a TA responsibility as part of our program. You do have to TA for a class at least once, but it's different from programs where you're doing a lot of teaching, right? We have you here to research. So you would be hired, your job title is graduate research assistant. And that is really the one you're going to see in our program specifically.
Yep. And maybe I can jump on the next question, Hallie. As a second-year master's student in molecular medicine at Nazarbayev University, Astana, my question is, with the current immigration policy changes and funding issue in U.S., how do international applicants stand a chance for PhD admission? So there are several components to this. Number one, obviously, the student who is admitted would have to get visa. That's out of our control. But students continue to get visas to come to the U.S. So hopefully we wish you the best for that. I know it's a difficult time. Second thing is that our campus, we continue to take students, including our department. So we don't have any sort of ban on taking international students at all. In fact, our last cohort, Hallie, please remind me, how many international students did we have in this cohort? Several.
So fall 25, we had 6 students.
Yeah.
And I believe 4.
Our international. So
came directly from abroad.
Exactly. So we continue to admit international students. And you mentioned about funding. We will not admit a student in our department if faculty don't have the funding. So that's a given. We're not going to have students to pay for their, stipends and things like that. And our faculty, as I mentioned, our department is growing. We have several new faculty with a lot of funding. And we don't anticipate those fundings will not continue. So from that perspective, actually, here at the University of Utah and our department, we're in a good shape. But I do realize your question because many universities, unfortunately, had to cut back. In fact, even our biosciences program, unfortunately, seems like it wouldn't take international students this year. But that's not the case about molecular pharmaceutics.
Absolutely. All right. We still have time, but I do just see one more question right now. Actually, 2 more. One just popped up. Great question. How credible is a recommendation from a QC lab supervisor? I'm a pharmacy undergrad working in QC and R&D.
Yeah. No, of course. That is, supervisors, even sometimes you get recommendation letters from someone who was just a professor and that person was taking a class. So in recommendation letters, obviously, if you have done research with someone, with a faculty member or in a company, that would be very valuable. But even if you did things like QC and such, that person can kind of comment on your work ethics and, professionalism and things of that sort. So certainly that's an acceptable recommendation letter.
Okay, so I think this will be our last question. It's a good one. How many students applied last year? How many were admitted last year? I don't, to be honest, I don't have all the, exact numbers in my head. I can kind of give a general trends. I think the last 2 years we had just over 100 applicants. It was something like 101 for fall of 24 and right around there last time. And then I'm just saying both years, because that gives a better example. I think both years we interviewed maybe 10 to 15.
About a dozen, yep.
Yeah, of those. And then, like I said, we had 6 start this fall, and I believe fall of 24, I want to say 7 or 8. So, like I said, I wish we could admit everyone. There's a lot of factors. Not just we have great quality applicants. We really get wonderful students applying. But a lot of it does come down to who has funding for students. Do we have the space for these students? Lots of different factors with applications. It's not just your GPA. There's really a lot that goes into it. So just because that is what happened the last 2 years, that by no means means that is what we're looking at for fall of 26. It could be a very different story this year. It really, there's just a lot of different factors to it.
Great.
Okay, I am going to sneak in one more question, but then we are going to go because I know my panelists have their evenings, but it's a good question for this, I think, to end on. So someone is just asking, I have a background in a biochemistry lab. Do you think that would be a good fit for pharmaceutics? I'm also a pharmaceutical graduate.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah. We'll end on a positive note. That's definitely a yes. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much to our speakers. I believe everyone should have my email or at least know how to find me on our department website. So please follow up. I'm more than happy to share links, English proficiency links, the fee waiver code application, anything like that. Shoot me an email and I will definitely start responding to them tomorrow morning. So one more time, thank you so much for everyone and have a wonderful evening.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Hallie.
Bye-bye.